The wind was sharp that morning at Fort Brinton, carrying the scent of jet fuel and dried dust across the training grounds. Recruits hurried along the concrete path, boots thudding and voices echoing as instructors barked orders. Among the crowd walked a woman who didn't seem to belong. Not because she looked out of place, but because she carried herself with a quiet confidence that instantly separated her from the rest. Commander Alyssa Morgan adjusted the strap of her duffel bag, keeping her baseball cap low and her expression neutral. She wasn't supposed to be recognized today. The Department of Defense had arranged a discreet visit so she could evaluate new candidates without her real identity being revealed. Only 3 people on base knew why she was here. Everyone else simply saw a slender woman in civilian clothes walking onto a male-dominated military training zone. And that was exactly how trouble started at a group of young soldiers stood gathered near the entrance to the obstacle yard, laughing loudly, shoving each other playfully, until Alyssa walked past them. Their voices quieted for half a second, then rose again, louder, cockier. One of them, a muscular recruit with cropped blonde hair and mismatched arrogance, Corporal Brett Dawson, smirked as he stepped in her path. "Hey, civilian area's that way," he said, pointing behind her. "This isn't a playground." Alyssa gave him a polite nod. "I know where I'm going." Brett narrowed his eyes at the calm tone. "You lost? We're just dumb." His buddies snickered. Alyssa didn't react. She had spent 13 years in special warfare. She'd operated in freezing oceans, survived ambushes in deserts, infiltrated compounds at night with zero visibility. A rude recruit wasn't going to crack her, but Brett wasn't done. He stepped closer, blocking her path entirely. "I said the restricted area is off limits. Get lost, Btch." And then he shoved her hard. Her shoulder dipped from the force, her bag slipping down her arm. A few nearby recruits gasped. No one intervened. Alyssa's jaw tightened, not out of pain, but disappointment. She straightened slowly, looking right into Brett's eyes, her expression unreadable if he only knew who he had just laid hands on. The commander of SEAL Shadow Unit 8, one of the deadliest, most elite Special Forces teams in the United States Navy. But Alyssa followed orders. "Stay undercover." She simply said, "Don't touch me again." Brett scoffed. "Or what? You'll call security?" He laughed and turned to his buddies. "Look at this. Some little girl thinks she's tough." Alyssa could have ended the confrontation instantly. One wrist lock, one precise step, and Brett would have been eating dirt. But she held her composure. She scanned the yard for Captain Harris, the officer assigned to meet her. He was on the far end, approaching but still too far to intervene. Before she could walk away, Brett caught her arm again. "You deaf?" "I said get off this ground." This time Alyssa reacted. Her hand moved faster than Brett could blink. In one clean motion, she twisted his wrist, pivoted her weight, and redirected his energy. Brett's feet left the ground, his body slamming into the dirt with a choked grunt. The crowd erupted with stunned cries. She didn't use excessive force, just enough to drop him. Brett stared up at her in shock. "What the hell?" Alyssa leaned slightly. "I warned you." Before things escalated further, Captain Marcus Harris sprinted over, breathless. "Commander Morgan." "Sorry for the delay." Brett froze. "And Morgan?" "Commander." Harris turned sharply toward the recruits, fury burning in his eyes. "Recruits, stand at attention. Right now." The entire yard fell silent. Brett slowly rose, dust all over his uniform, eyes wide. Alyssa exhaled. "Relax, Captain. Let's not make this bigger than it is." But Harris wasn't about to let slide. "Ma'am, he shoved you. That's assaulting a superior officer he didn't know." Alyssa cut in. Harris swallowed. "Still, he disrespected the commander of an elite SEAL Special Forces team." The recruits' jaws dropped. Someone whispered, "She's a commander?" "Her." Even Brett seemed unable to process the information. His arrogant expression dissolved into pale fear. "Commander, I didn't know," he stammered. "I swear I didn't. That's the problem," Alyssa said quietly. "You acted without thinking, and that can get your entire team killed." Harris ordered all recruits to form a straight line. Alyssa stood before them, hands behind her back, posture sharp and lethal. even in simple denim and a gray hoodie. "You all saw what happened," she began. "This wasn't about me. This was about discipline, about respect, about judgment under pressure." Her voice was calm, steady, but carried the weight of command. In the field, a second of ego can cost lives. A moment of arrogance can destroy a mission. You don't size people up by their appearance. You assess threats by behavior, not stereotypes. Recruits listened like every word was oxygen. Alyssa continued, "I've led men twice Brett's size through operations that classified agencies won't admit exist. I've rescued hostages, dismantled terror cells, and extracted wounded soldiers under heavy fire. I didn't do any of that because I'm the biggest or strongest." She stepped closer. "I did it because I trained harder, thought smarter, and never underestimated anyone." Even Brett stood straighter, swallowing hard. Alyssa then looked over the entire group. "If you want to wear this uniform, you need more than muscles or bravado. You need discipline, courage, integrity." Harris stepped forward. "Commander Morgan will be overseeing today's advanced evaluation. You will treat her with the respect her rank demands." The recruits shouted in unison, "Yes, sir." The rest of the day unfolded like a storm. Alyssa observed them through various drills: long-range marksmanship, obstacle endurance, tactical strategy, teamwork. She watched every tiny detail: how they handled pressure, how they communicated, who helped struggling teammates, and who showed signs of ego. And Brett. He tried harder than anyone. During the wall climb challenge, one recruit slipped. Brett instantly reached down, grabbed his vest, and hauled him up with genuine effort. No mocking, no impatience, just focus. Alyssa quietly nodded. Later, during the navigation test, Brett approached her hesitantly. "Commander, may I speak freely?" "You may. I embarrassed myself earlier." He kept his eyes forward. "I judged you because you were not what I expected a SEAL commander to look like. And I'm sorry. I want to be better than that." Alyssa studied him. "You made a mistake. What matters is how you learn from it." He nodded. "Yes, ma'am." By the end of the evaluations, Alyssa had a pretty clear view of their potential. As the sun dipped low, she gathered the recruits for a final briefing. "You all improved today," she said firmly. "Some of you showed exceptional discipline. Others still have work to do, but progress is progress." Her gaze paused on Brett for a split second. "Remember, strength is important, but character? That's essential." Then her expression softened just slightly. "And one more thing. If you want real stories of courage and justice, subscribe to our channel Grow for Justice. Support the mission, support the message, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from." A few recruits exchanged confused glances. They didn't expect a commander to promote a channel, but Alyssa gave them a dry smirk. "Even special forces need good storytelling," she said. The group actually laughed. Then Harris approached. "Commander, your vehicle is ready." Alyssa nodded and gathered her Btch to AS. She walked past Brett. He straightened again. "Commander, thank you for not giving up on recruits like me." Alyssa paused. "I don't give up on anyone who's willing to grow," she said. "Remember that." She stepped off the training ground just as the evening wind swept across the base. Somewhere behind her, recruits whispered in awe about the woman who had tossed a full-grown soldier like he weighed nothing, and yet had shown more integrity and patience than any officer they'd seen. Alyssa Morgan didn't need to prove who she was. The world already knew, and soon, millions more would, through stories told on Grow for Justice.